Glory be to God, Mighty God Ministries, episode 142. I don't even know what we're going to call this. But it's interesting, how God works. We don't understand it, We try to understand him, but we can't understand him because if we understood him, he wouldn't be who he was. But, there's a couple different things that happened in the last maybe week or maybe a week ago. I don't even remember what time it was. But I ran into a couple different people. I don't know what the meaning was behind it. I know God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes you understand, sometimes you don't. But I met someone, and they, I don't know what the meaning was behind it, but it was another one where there's someone they knew was a minister or something like that. And I don't know what the meaning was behind it, but I met a person there. And then I was on my way to another area, and I saw a person, and I got the sign, and I don't know why I didn't want to do it. It was another one of those things where like I thought I should, but I just didn't want to do it. And so I like looped around, and I go, all right, I'm going. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you fight that your flesh fights you. Even though you're supposed to do something, your flesh fights you, and sometimes it's hard, even when you know that you're supposed to do it. Even when God's telling you to do something, it can be hard. Even if you're supposed to do it, it's just hard. So I pull around, and I pick this person up. I asked them if they need a ride. I was actually just trying to, more or less, I saw the sign, so I'm like, okay. So then I said, are you saved? Of course they are. And they were trying to go somewhere, so I took them there and dropped them off, and it was a super nice person. I'm not going to say their name, but super nice person. And they're a believer, and they were telling me about their story. And it was uplifting to hear what had happened to them. Different things. They were praying for some things, and how God moved in their life, and they got what they needed, which was awesome. And so I saw them, and then I got to see them, which was nice. I talked to them. I hope I see them again, because they told me a story about them, and the way they said it was actually sort of funny at the end when I was getting ready to leave them. And then trying to think, there's nothing else major that really happened. It's just one of those things where it's hard. You wonder about some of these Bible characters. It's not a character, they're real people, but sometimes we do that, where like we read about the Bible, and we don't, like, sometimes we think of them as a character in a movie or story that doesn't exist, but it is real. And you think, like, again, I compare it to, like, if you took someone's life today and put that in a book, people probably wouldn't understand it. But you think of like all the different things that they went through, because we all go through through similar things, maybe not the same, but similar things. And you wonder, again, like, it would be really cool to talk to them and ask them like how they were feeling at the time when they were going through those trials and tribulations, because we all go through trials and tribulations, and we're all doing not all of us, but a lot of us are, whether you're praying, fasting, whatever you're doing, right? You're trying to do all the right things. You're trying to stay out of trouble and do the good things and stay away from the bad things. And you're trying to do the right things. And sometimes things just don't always still work out the way you plan them. You think they're going to go one way, and they don't. And then sometimes they do, and there's a reason why. God has a reason why he does everything. But when you're going through those things, you just wonder, like, what is the deal? What is going on? What do you talk to God, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, where he's there, but you're also wondering, like, what are you doing? What I mean? He knows everything. He's in control, and he has a reason for everything he does. But we always want to, we tend to want to question it, and when we look back at different things in our lives, we can realize then, like, oh, that's why he did it that way, or there's a reason for that, but we don't understand at the time. And that's just one of the hardest things. It is one of the hardest things, is we try to figure it out. We can't figure it out because we don't know, because we didn't build the world, so we can't understand it, but we try to, in our minds we try to. But you also wonder, like, the different people, like Job and different things like that. Like, it'd be interesting when we get to heaven, we can ask them, like Job, like, what was he thinking? Like, obviously he didn't curse God like his wife told him to do, and all these other things. She told him to curse God and die, I think, or something like that, and all the different things. But you wonder, like, what was he thinking? You know what I mean? Like, what was he thinking? Like, because when you think about, like, he got stripped of everything, he had nothing essentially. He had, he lost everything. All of his possessions. He lost his family. He was sick, and had a disease, almost like a disease like it would be like a leopard's disease or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? And when you think about that, like, you wonder, like, although he, like, held on the whole time and he knew God was faithful, like, you wonder, like, what was he thinking, like, how long is this going to be? Like, is that what he was thinking? Like, how long, like, is this ever going to end? When is God going to come through? He's a faithful God, and he's going to come through, but, like, you have to wonder, like, because he's human and he's flesh like us, you have to wonder, like, what was he thinking? And then, like, was he like, is it going to be another week? Is it going to be 2 days and God's going to come through with a plan? Is it going to be like a month? Is it going to be a year? Like, you have to wonder, like, what he was thinking in his head. And and I don't even know how long it took. I'd have to check. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Maybe I'll check the actual Bible scripture and see, because I don't know how long the time frame was, or I don't even know if it gives an actual time frame. But you wonder, like, some of those things. But one thing I am going to say is that one thing about music that really helps out, and I think it has to do with the praise that helps us out too, is when you're going through tough times and you're not sure, and it seems like the world is falling apart, which obviously if you read the papers and all the different things, or you do that, it does seem like it's falling apart. But in those times, I honestly think still, like, even if you don't have the outcomes you want, praising is one of the best things you could do. And there's some really cool songs that I just found out. I don't know if I mentioned these or not in another video, but one of them's like a country song. I think it's like Dixon, something like that. And it's like, it's called Up and Up, maybe You Lift Me Up Again, I think it's called. But it's like got a real upbeat tempo to it. And I'm not even a country fan. And the other one's called Praise Something. I forget what the name is. I have to look it up. But it's something Praise, and it's got like the album has like a wall. It's almost like a room, and it's got all these different types of crosses on the wall, and it's got like some dude like on his hands and knees. He got like a country hat on. It's got like a country beat to it. And I am not like a country person at all, like at all. Like, I was never a big fan of country music, but I like really, when I heard this song, I was like, wow, this is like some good, I'm not even that type of person, but I'm ready to go get like some cowboy boots and a cowboy hat to jam out to this song, because it is so good. And then the other song that I know that helps me out, it's called, it's by Worship Anthem, I think, or something like that, and it's called Christ is My Firm Foundation. But it's like the girl's name who sings it is Genevieve something. I'm not sure her last name, but it's Genevieve something, but it's Christ is My Firm Foundation. It is a sweet song, because every time I listen to it, it just reminds me of, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what you see, what you're going through, no matter what, Jesus is our firm foundation. He really is. And like I said, we don't understand the timing of things. And I think that's the hardest thing that we deal with in life, is not so much the stuff that happens to us over our life, but the timing of it, and just wondering, like, how much longer is this going to take for my breakthrough? Or, how much longer is this going to take? You just wonder certain things. Or if it maybe not even be for yourself. You might be praying for other people, and, and you're praying for someone else to get a breakthrough or a miracle. And and you've been doing everything you could do, and you're just wondering, like, when is the breakthrough coming for them? When are you going to see it happen? There's so many people I could think of that, like, I not just in my personal stuff, but like people I've prayed for and I just need. And some of them I've seen stuff happen, and other ones I'm just waiting, and I'm just you know, I know it's going to happen because God stands on his word, but I'm just waiting to see it happen, you know, and I'm just, you know, it's hard because you wonder when is it going to happen, you know what I mean? But we don't know that. Only God knows, because he's perfect in his timing. So he's the only one that knows, you know, what he's going to do and the reasons behind it. That's the other thing, is he's the only one that knows the reasons. You know, we can't understand it. You know, we might be able to look back after the fact and understand it, but we can't understand it now. So again, I thought this was just a good video to make, just because I think it can help people out. You know, again, I've said this 1,000 times about praising, you know, about, you know, and how I think it helps you out. I don't even know, like, and then again, like that, I just thank you, Holy Spirit, for reminding me about that. I didn't even think about that. You know, like, what about like Job and them back then? Obviously they didn't have like a, you know, a Spotify or Apple Music or, you know, YouTube, whatever music or whatever else is out there. You know, they didn't have that. So were they singing their songs? I don't know. They must have been. Were they playing on like a harp or something, or ukulele? I don't know. You know, but I'm sure they had something they had to be doing. They had to be singing or doing something, you know what I mean? Because I do believe it does lift you up and it makes you feel better. So God bless you. Again, this channel is to glorify God. The most important thing is to glorify God, because that is why we are all created, is to praise, worship him, and glorify him through the different things we do. And that could be done different ways. Obviously, when I say glorify God, that's you know, giving him the credit. But no matter what you do, whether you're helping a person, whether it's your job, you know, no matter what you do, you know, you have a special talent that no one else has. And then the other important thing is, if you are not saved, click the more link, read that salvation prayer. It is the most important thing you could do in your life, is being saved. No matter whether you believe it or not, there's two places you're going to go when you die, essentially. And one is going to be, you're going to go to heaven if you're saved and you believe that Jesus came down to earth in a human body, died on the cross, rose 3 days later, take the keys from hell, so that he may purify with his body and blood, and we may live forever in heaven, essentially. Or the other places, you're going to go into hell in the burning river of fire, which is going to be, obviously, if you think about the most, and I don't like to use fear at all, because I don't believe, you know, you are to fear God, but God works in love, you know, L-O-V-E, he works in love. But if I were to compare it to something, if you took the worst horror movie you ever watched and multiplied that times about 200, that's where you would be at. So again, you know, we don't want to use fear for that, but obviously, you know, whether you know or not, just take a chance. I believe, you know, and everyone has a different opinion on this, but I believe if you read that salvation prayer out loud, God will start working on you. He'll make where he seems to be no way, because I believe that he created everyone specially unique in his image, and he wants everyone to be saved. He does not want one person to not be with him in heaven. He does not want one. But because he loves us, again, L-O-V-E, he gives us free will, and you can't make someone love you. You know, that's something that if someone wants to love you, they have to love you out of free will. And that's what God does. He gives you a choice. He gives you the choice to love him and want to be with him for eternity in heaven, or not to. It's, you know, it's, the choice is yours, you know. So God bless you, and we'll see you in the next one.